think it's pretty important to know during this time that during the mid 2000s, the WWE did start getting behind a bit, and with the new company on the block now, TNA or NWA TNA, whatever you know it as, back in the early days, that really started taking off. I mean, we're watching some of the episodes now from 2002 to 2004, the pay-per-views, and honestly, 2-hour pay-per-views, cut out the bullshit, stick it on television in a 2-hour block, and you'd have the most exciting wrestling product you'd probably ever wish to see.
Very unpredictable.
Really unpredictable. It's like the other half of what happened after the Attitude Era that people didn't get to see. It's all there. Pretty much every single wrestler you'd want to see, minus maybe 2. Sid Vicious, who else? Goldberg. That's about it. Everyone else you got to see. Like the new stars that they were developing, and what they had, the storylines going for them.
No
no ads. That was pretty cool. They just had these sweet, hot, sexy dancers instead, and
Lollipop.
She's pretty good. April Pennington. But yeah, what they were doing, they were definitely creating a revolution of their own. Sure, they might have had like an ECW angle and then brought in a whole bunch of WCW stars and ex-WWE, WWF stars, but they also had their own stars, and they definitely pushed that. Like, I've just bought a triple pack of a bunch of TNA pay-per-views from 2004 to 2005. The first name you see is AJ Styles. Nowadays it'll be Hulk Hogan. Do you really want to see him wrestle? I think not. So yeah, what they were doing, their storylines, the product they had, it was just exciting. That in 2005, of course, when they found themselves on Spike TV, they really kicked WWE in the ass. Their product then was the best I've ever seen, hands down. Wrestling, awesome. 6-sided ring, better than 4. The Impact Zone. So what if WWE's gone to 10,000 arenas? These 700 people, 900 people, completely shit on anything you'd see in the WWE. And that's hands down, there's no doubt about that. I think that with Scott D'Amore in charge, even though Jeff Jarrett was a bit of a title hog, Scott D'Amore, he was a great writer. He made some really exciting things, and I'm sure I can elaborate a little more about what he thinks.
To me, I just think, as I said earlier about the lack of competition, Vince got lazy. So the product 04, 05, 06, 07, it went down and down and down. You're just way too comfortable, no need to put out the good product. You got weird storylines like the Sharmell and Kurt Angle and Booker T. So it was just, not a good time. I love wrestling, but that was a very big down period. That's all I can say.
Katie Vick. The juniors division, the failed juniors division.
Yeah, they obviously lost what they used to have, and they were just heading downwards. Still okay, but nowhere near what they were. Like a shell of the former self.
Exactly what happened during the mid-90s. When you start hearing the initials of another company being chanted throughout your show, you know you're in trouble or something's coming up. And that happened pretty strongly with TNA.
Yeah. My thoughts on the TNA, as he said, we were watching the pay-per-views on the computer, and very unpredictable. Sometimes you just sit there and you're like, whoa, haven't seen him for 5 years, and things like that. Awesome debuts, awesome returns. And someone like AJ Styles, who was basically in the last few months of WCW, he was like a jobber. And look at him now, through the growth of TNA, from the Asylum days through to Spike TV, he's become a household name in the industry. He's the biggest success for TNA, I would say. So, TNA, you did well.
WWE, not so well.
They went down. Right, our next topic is the WWE PG era.
Fuck. Oops. It's not very PG.
No. Let's just say, financially and business-wise, it's good for them. They open themselves up to a lot more sponsors and markets. But in terms of a long-term wrestling fan, especially from the Attitude Era, very bad move for a long-time fan. Watered down product, no blood. Sorry, it was just meh.
Well, I personally have to say this now, but I hadn't watched WWE since 2006, since Trish Stratus left, and by that time I wasn't watching wrestling at all. I mean, New Zealand only had TNA pay-per-views, but then we weren't getting anything. Of course, having not watched WWE for a few years, I couldn't give a shit about it. And then I hear they're gone PG.
Worst move they ever made.
No, not cool. Especially being a big ECW fan. I mean, sure, you could have good wrestling and stuff, and you don't need to swear or anything, or you don't need to have heaps of blood.
No.
They can be considered PG, but this shit was just gay. That's it.
Well put. Number one company, I would definitely say WCW. I know before you say anything about the real life backstage crap and all that went on, but the television they produce, they rushed. But the thing I liked about it is, like, they had, I dare say, during the late 90s, main eventer wise, WCW had like 20, WWF had like about 6. Like, they killed WWF in the Star Power stakes, and their television was just so unpredictable. You never knew what was going to happen, and I dare say that's what I liked about it. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Well, for me, I definitely have to say, TNA, don't hurt me, but apart from ECW, what TNA achieved in the short period of time between 2002 to the end of 2005, that was probably the best wrestling I've ever seen, the most exciting wrestling show produced and delivered in a way that I'd want to see, and what you just look forward to seeing next week and the week after that, and then six-sided ring, the Impact Zone. It was awesome. The people they had there, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe was the man. And it all started going downhill whenever they signed Sting. Their biggest ever pay-per-view up at that point, excluding Bound for Glory, the highest buy rate they ever got, and they just put on a really average pay-per-view, and I think that was it from there. What TNA achieved in their early days was something that's never been done before, and chances are it'll be never done again. The wrestling popularity, the wrestling industry itself is just going down, and
yeah, I mean, we might be headed for another boom period soon. Like, that's what a lot of people say.
Maybe.
Yeah, but I just think if we do, I still don't see it as getting as big as it was in the WCW WWF days, because at that point, like, it was the cool thing to do on the weekend. It wasn't go to parties, it wasn't anything else. Literally, you'd have your friends over and you'd watch Nitro or Raw. That's how popular it was. The ratings were in the 7s and things like that. Now WWE scrape by and get 2s and 3s. It just shows what's happened.
Yeah, pretty much. I think a lot of us also contributed to the brains, or who's in charge. We all know Dixie Carter's pretty stupid, and we know Vince McMahon's heading for retirement, so he's getting a bit lazy up here also. I think that the only way it could really become good again is if someone's willing to back it, and someone's willing to back someone that has brains. I think Paul Heyman, if he wanted to come back, he'd do a great job.
Yep.
Always respect Jim Cornette, he speaks the truth. Of course, there's Ring of Honor now. They have awesome wrestling, the best wrestling you'll see on TV, but their shows are just not produced in a way that's really, really exciting. It's more like Ring of Honor shows, more for Ring of Honor fans.
Yeah.
And people may disagree with me there, but what you see on television, it's not like total non-stop action or anything. And I'm not a fan personally of the dimmed arenas. Of course, whenever you get a camera shot towards the roof, it's kind of blinding and a bit off-putting to watch, but
yeah,
they've got great wrestlers and they've got great wrestling, and I enjoy watching that. That's about all there is to look forward to now. And Eric Young, it's pretty funny.
Our final topic is what kept you interested or made you stop watching wrestling over the time you've been into it?
Well, for me, I'm talking about WWE. By the middle of 2006, it was just Trish Stratus. I mean, I'd want to see her. I had a crush on her for years. She was hot, I'll admit that. But she left. It's no point for me watching WWE. I just flip over and watch TNA. That was my fix. That was what I loved at the time, and I was happy watching that and that only. They said I'd never be left disappointed. Then I guess what made me stop watching TNA is with just poor decisions. I wasn't happy with wrestlers they were firing and shit wrestlers they were hiring. Couldn't really care if they've been in the WWE before. As far as I'm concerned, around that time, they were shit. But yeah, what's made me stop watching wrestling pretty much completely now, apart from occasional Ring of Honor and maybe a TNA pay-per-view, is the fact that what's been delivered now isn't something I like. I don't find it exciting. I don't like the style of wrestling that I usually see. I don't like the finish to matches. It's just off-putting. So the reason why I still love the business is the fact that it's exciting. Really exciting things can happen. There's a lot that can happen. There's a real drive behind everything that goes on, really. And I think that the reason that I do actually still really have a passion for it is just hoping things will change, like for the better. Wrestling can be cool. It just needs people to get their shit together and deliver in a way that is cool.
In terms of me stopping watching wrestling, I don't see myself ever doing that. I consider myself a lifetime fan. In terms of what kept me interested, the Attitude Era, you could base everything off that. That was awesome. But even in the not so good times, there's potential for it to be good again, and that's why I love wrestling, and I think I'll always be part of it.
It's entertaining. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, good or bad.
Yeah, entertainment for those who find it entertaining.
That's it for this episode of Wrestling Entertainment, but you can find us on Facebook, Google+, and YouTube. And for our personal social media pages, etc., find them in the description below. See you next time.
Bah.
See ya.